I think the thing that attracted me most to Brown-Forman were the brands. Before Brown-Forman, I worked in an agency and had a chance to work with other alcohol beverage companies, Bacardi, Miller, and Brown-Forman. And the brands that Brown-Forman always managed, whether it's Jack Daniel's, Southern Comfort, or the rest of the portfolio, was really where I wanted to be, and the projects that I wanted to work on were associated with those brands.
I've heard that Brown-Forman was a very good company to work for. Everyone wanted to get into the company, and that Brown-Forman appreciates their employees and have lots of career building activities. So I thought it would be a good starting point, if not for the rest of my career, just a starting point.
More importantly for me, because I looked at a couple different companies, I was looking for a place that I could stay for a while. And I saw a lot of folks that had a lot of longevity here that found a place where they felt like they could make a difference. And so just the people were wonderful, welcoming, and made a great culture of a place you wanted to come. And on top of it all, I thought that as an organization, they're very forward-looking, so thinking about the future and not just what's right here in the present.
25 years ago, I was an unemployed young man out in Seattle, Washington. And the people that I knew at Brown-Forman, I worked at Seagram's, but they were great people that worked with this company called Brown-Forman. So I called them when I found out, hey, Seagram's is letting me go. I'd like to throw my hat in the ring, and it took them 7 or 8 months, and they finally called back and said, hey, we've got a spot for you. So I think that the dedication and the kindness of those two guys really kind of drove home to me what type of people worked at Brown-Forman. So for the past 25 years, from Seattle to Boise to Atlanta to Dallas to Milwaukee, now to Louisville, I think that's kind of been ingrained in me.
When I was seeking employment, there were 3 characteristics that were really primary for me. And the first was a multinational corporation that was growing globally. The second was a corporate culture that really had a sense of community. And the third was a company that walked the walk in terms of being an outstanding corporate citizen. Brown-Forman was all of those.
Personally, I was really attracted to the responsibility, values, and commitment of the company. My job is around that, but whenever someone like me is coming in to do that type of work, there's a real honest assessment of how serious is the company, how much do they want to lead in this area, and is there a real openness to learn and grow? And I saw all those conditions when I came into the organization around responsibility, very similar to diversity and inclusion. Looking at an organization that had a really strong track record, but wanted to really go to another level.
Here.
And so,
known Brown-Forman all my life, and so when the opportunity to work in PR became available to me, I was very excited about the opportunity. And what really, really drove it home for me was when I was interviewing with Rick Bubenhofer. He said to me, if I have 2 equal candidates and you're one, I will hire you because you're a soldier. And that meant the world to me.
I like the autonomy. I'm kind of a results anywhere person. I'm not anchored to any one office here on campus. We're at 626. I work out of my house a lot. I work in my states quite a bit. So being an only child, I like traveling. I like going here and doing my own thing. So I think the autonomy and there's a lot of pressure put on you. Maybe pressure isn't the right word. Maybe responsibilities are given to you, and whether you get that done at 7 in the morning or at 7 at night or on Saturday and Sunday, just get it done.
I think Brown-Forman is a really fun place to work. When you go to parties and things and you tell people that you work at Brown-Forman, people are always interested.
The coolest thing about this company is just that there really is an opportunity to do so many different things in a day. Mainly, not only because of my job is very, it touches so many different areas of the business, but beyond that, just when we talk about ERGs, there's just, it's like, okay, I want to figure out what it's like to plan an event. All right, I can do that. I want to develop an app that locates LGBT-friendly accounts and build it from the ground up. Okay, sure, you can do that. So it's just, if you've got an idea, Very rarely are you going to get a no, especially in the ERG space, because there's just such a need for new energy, and anytime we can leverage any kind of passion that exists, we were winning.
Well, of all those things, it's definitely the people. You know, that's where you're spending a lot of your time, so you got to like the people that you work with. And even though folks have that longevity and they've been here for a while, they're really open-minded and love to try new things and new approaches, and just the innovation mindset is really valued at Brown-Forman. So it's a place where you can bring your curiosity and experiment, and I think that's really important, because that's part of what's going to help us grow and reach those big goals we have for the future.
I think what I like the most about working at Brown-Forman is that I would never ever hesitate to tell anybody anywhere. And you know, when you travel, sometimes people ask you that. I would never hesitate to say where I worked. I would be so proud of this company. And Brown-Forman measures up on any standard you ever want to hold out. So you never have to feel like, I don't really want to talk about where I work. I don't feel good about it. I feel great about Brown-Forman.
I like the flexibility of the environment. I like the brands. I really like our brands, the portfolio of brands we have. And I like that we are an entertainment company, which really fit my personality, because, you know, I'm extroverted and I like interacting with other people, and I like the engaging environment.
You know, what I like the most about the company, it's not the benefits package, although that's great. It's the people that we work with on a daily basis, and there's diversity of thought and experience, but there's commonality of values and purpose. And so those two things really blend nicely. And you see a lot of companies that talk about their values, and you see values on lists of every organization. But here, as you get into the organization and really have that day-to-day experience, you realize some of the things like respect and teamwork and integrity and excellence, they are really part of coming to work every day. And I can honestly say, I think it's part my job and part the company. I've enjoyed coming to work every single day at Brown-Forman.
I think the most exciting part of being about Brown-Forman is not only is it about the way we work, it's who we work with, it's the people that are here. And while I didn't know anyone prior to joining Brown-Forman, I have since grown in the relationships of the people within the human resources function, within the global production and marketing organizations, the groups that I've supported as an HR person, and then now my new family of the women within the employee resource group that we call GROW, and how we've really connected as well. So for me, it is about building those relationships, again, going back to the culture that we have at Brown-Forman and why those relationships matter. And in every way we work and in everything we do, we reinforce the importance to that.
Quite a few. At least on the domestic side, I've definitely seen an increase in diversity, not just from ethnicity, but also in terms of backgrounds. When I first came on board 11 years ago, it was a mindset of you had to start with a distributor, and then you worked your way up into the supplier. And so we kept just going through the same type of people, and so we made a conscious decision to be diverse in our thinking as well, and so it has allowed us to be very diverse in the way we promote people, the kind of people we go after. Their background matters, not just the ethnicity or the amount of experience they may have. Or lack thereof. It's really all inclusive of diversity.
And also just being the leader of global talent acquisition, we track how successful we are in the space of diversity. And so one of the things that's new for this year is having a very focused and deliberate diversity strategy. And we have three sort of legs of the stool, if you will, that are going to ensure that we get there. One is, how do we do a better job sourcing? Two is the strategic partnership aspect of talent acquisition, both internally with ERGs and through organizations external to the company. And then thirdly, how do we ensure that the candidate experience is second to none?
I've only been here a couple of years, and even just in the few years that I've been here, I've seen remarkable differences in myself, in the company, in the people around me. Just becoming more aware of the differences in people and their backgrounds, and learning to embrace whether it's age differences or cultural differences, lifestyle differences. Just in the past few years that I'm aware of, I've seen remarkable strides, and then just from the stories that people tell of how things used to be, it sounds like it's really come a long way.
The thing that I see the most, or the evidence that I see, is that people are more aware and comfortable with differences in people. And I remember language several years ago that it was about fitting in. And the language I hear now is about accepting differences and people actively engaged in trying to understand what that means, and making this a better place. And it's engaging our workforce, but it's also engaging consumers and understanding who they are and how our organization needs to look and be similar to the consumers that we're trying to reach. And we do a ton of work within the communities that we live in and work in, and I see all of that in how we come together for a common purpose, and I think that's what's so exciting, particularly with the ERG work that we're doing now.
I think Brown-Forman has made very good strides in the area of diversity and inclusion. When I joined the organization 12 years ago, there was a handful of people of color, and today, just by looking around, you can see where we've made improvements in those areas. But not only in the area of level 1 diversity in terms of color and gender, but I think also diversity of thought, I think diversity of experiences. I think it's more common for us to have conversations that our leadership in our organization is open to diversity of many forms and shapes. So I don't think we're where we want to be, but I think we've definitely made some wonderful strides in that direction.
I was fortunate to be part of a very early group that looked at diversity and inclusion here. And honestly, we assessed it and looked at it, and we weren't really pleased with what we saw. And it helped that we hired a chief diversity officer, and we have a diversity office that does this all day, every day, and it's their passion and their livelihood. But really the difference I've seen is the way in which the initiative has been brought out to those in the organization. It's through the ERGs, through opportunities for every employee to get involved and to put something into diversity and get something out of diversity and inclusion. It's taking off. Now, that's not to say we don't have a long ways to go in terms of progress and performance, but as far as the culture is concerned and the readiness of people to change and think differently about diversity and inclusion, absolutely big strides over the last 5 to 10 years, probably the last 5 years really. And it's something that's really exciting to be part of, and anyone can be part of.
I'm Tammy Henderson.
I'm Diane Nguyen.
I'm Ashley Masterson.
I'm Marelis Correa.
I am Bob Taylor.
I'm a white male.
I'm a boomer.
I'm a lesbian.
And I'm Latino.
I'm a non-drinker.
I'm a young professional.
I'm gay.
I'm a veteran.
And at Brown-Forman, I matter.
I matter.
I matter.
I matter.
I matter.
And I matter.
I matter.
I matter.
I matter.
I matter.
And I matter.
I matter.
I matter.